The Gauteng Education Department calling on vendors operating on school premises to obtain a valid certificate of accessibility or acceptability, I beg your pardon. This is to ensure safety of pupils who buy from these vendors. The department's call follows President Cyril Ramaphosa's announcement at the weekend, giving spaza shop owners 21 days to register their businesses. Let's unpack what the way forward is. Bring in Gauteng Education Department spokesperson, that's Steve Mabona, with us here in our Auckland Park studios. Welcome back. I feel like I need to say welcome back because you and I talk often on the show. Thank you very much for popping by. I appreciate the time.
Good morning. Where
do we begin? Let me ask the question this way. What's changed between the circular that was given a couple of weeks ago saying that, there should be a halting of the sale of the food in some of these schools to where we are now, where you seem to be giving the go-ahead for these hawkers to sell, albeit under certain restrictions?
Yes, remember our memo was informed by a decision that was taken by Cabinet in Gauteng to say all departments need to play their role and make sure that our children are safe. And as a precautionary measure, we then decided to start with our own, that is those that are selling within our premises and those that are within our school precinct. But you understand that other stakeholders had a responsibility to look at the spaza shop,
yes,
look at other people that are selling in the area. But we had to confine ourselves to those that we think that they are closer to us. And subsequent to that, there were meetings, there were engagements, and since then the president, spoke. DBE was instructed to give clear guidelines and a framework on how we're going to be managing this program. And on the sidelines, there were vendors that were marching, that were not happy about the decision that we took, but we had to make them understand why we took that decision. And now with the, framework which is guiding us, we then took from the framework and tabulated the regulations on how we're going to be managing this process. Hence, we have communicated with all our schools. If you comply, then you will be allowed to sell within our schools and in the precinct.
Yeah, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but none of these rules are actually new, right? I mean, needing a certificate of accessibility, I would imagine, has always been a requirement. And I suppose the question becomes, to what extent have people been complying with that before this explicit instruction was sent out?
Now we are looking at putting an emphasis on our monitoring. Like as you might have seen our memo, we are saying to SGBs and school management, now this is what you need to look out for. But on top of that, you must make sure that the certificate is valid, because one might come with a certificate which is not valid. And if it's not valid, then it means that person will not be fully compliant to what the certificate would require on food management, transportation, storage, on how to then manage food and all those elements that are aligned to the necessary act. So that's what we are putting an emphasis on. And we are saying to all those that are unregistered, they need to do so. They've been given 21 days, but we've been interacting with the Department of Small Business and the Finance and Economic Development in the province. They say effectively it will be from Monday. Then you need to start to count your 21 days, from Monday. But you exclude the weekends, because weekends officials will not be probably working.
Sure. Yesterday, Lebogang Maile, the Economic Development MEC of the province, conceded that, frankly, there aren't enough inspectors. Even this is in relation to the spaza shops, right? He's been very open about that and has conceded to some of the reporters at that media briefing that there just aren't enough people to go around. Despite that, they're going to go ahead anyway and set this expectation. Is that the same in the education department in the province? I mean, how confident are you that you'll be able to thoroughly inspect whether the people who are vendors in these schools are doing so legitimately?
Look, tuck shops are within our premises. That is quite easy because we are there. Our district officials will always be on the ground, SGB and the management. That's why we interacted with them through a internal memo to say this is what we need to look out for and do. And in addition to that, you know that we provide school nutrition. There are regulations, there are standard operating procedures. We had to remind them on what are the things that they need to look at, but also gave them a new template on reporting on any case that would happen in and around our school, so that we can then monitor closely and make sure that we know how many of the incidences were reported and how were they resolved. So now the template, they are compelled to give us that information, because there was lesser reporting in some extent until such time that children are sick. There's many emergency services that are at the school, then they report. So now they're compelled to make sure that we know what is happening. So we rely on school management and the SGBs to do their work.
As far as you're concerned, you don't have a capacity issue in terms of monitoring compliance in this kind of space?
No, we don't have, because we have SGB and we gave them guidelines on what to look out for and who to interact with in the municipal offices to make sure that whatever certification is valid. And in terms of the guidelines, we issued that circular which was linked to TBE to say on the food management, these are the guidelines as a form of emphasis on how to manage this.
Sure. I know there's been a complication sometimes around how far your reach could go, for lack of a better term, because we know in many schools, or in many setups, I should say, there are vendors who are operating inside the school premises and hawkers outside. And insofar as the latter is concerned, I know there's been a bit of a gray area about who in fact is responsible to monitor that. Is it the municipality or is it the school and by extension the department? What's your response to those who are operating outside the school premises but still very much have interactions with pupils?
No, the school management and the SGB. SGB, remember, is responsible for governance. And that does not only mean that they look at what is happening in the school. They also are responsible for the precinct, because the precinct is a community. And they are parents, because they are representing parents. So they then need to make sure that that space is well managed. And that's why we have indicated that they need to look outside the school as well. Make sure that those that are there, they are in compliance. Because the president was very clear that let's all comply and make sure that our children are safe.
All right, Steve Mabona, thanks for popping by. I appreciate the time. And hopefully, we're able to get this right, given what is at stake. Steve Mabona is the spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department. Once again, thanks very much indeed.